on a permanent vacation. So in a capitalist society, we like to strive. We want to achieve two objectives. That is to be able to financially support our families, as well as cover our bills, pay for our food, basic things like that that make us comfortable. Our second objective is to be able to retire. That means stop working our jobs and instead use that time to spend time with our families. I'm tired of working now. So I know we all want to retire, but in order for us to retire, the government says we must have 12 times the amount of money that we make right now in retirement in order to last us throughout retirement. And that's a lot of money, especially since most Americans get caught up in what's called the 40-40 rule, which means that most Americans work 40 hours a week for 40 long years and to only have 40% of their annual income to retire on. People, that's well beneath half of our annual income. And most people, that's what they have when it's time for them to retire. Could you imagine waking up one day and all you had was a few months' worth of income to retire on? Well, that's the reality for most people in America. This is so common that that people have taken the time out to even give it a name and call it the 40-40 rule. Wow. In my econ, we want you to have more control over your money and thus have more control over your life. We want you to be able to determine how much you need for your current lifestyle and how much you need for your retirement. So you might be asking yourself, why is this the case? What's keeping us from obtaining financial freedom? Well, there are 4 challenges that keep us from obtaining financial freedom. Challenge number 1 is inflation. I'm sure you probably heard the term. It's the reason that when you bought that bag of Skittles the other day, it was half full but double the price. But a few years ago, that same bag of Skittles, you could actually share for a cheaper price. That is a prime example of inflation. It's the cost of living and other things around us going up while the money that we make stays the same. Our second challenge is taxes. Did you know that the average American makes about $1 million between the ages 18 and 60 years old? Yep. Everybody has a chance at being a millionaire. But where does that money go? The first few $100,000 or the first third of your income goes to taxes. We overlook this because it's the very first bill that is taken out of our checks before we even get to see the check. So now you're paying late fees because you were overpaying in taxes, which leads us to our second challenge, which is debt. Debt is so common in America that we not only know just someone, but we know some people who have debt. The average American usually ends up getting debt either through student loans, credit cards, car loans, or even a home loan, which puts the average American in debt of over $200,000 before they even turn 30 years old. Wow. And we all know that debt comes with interest, so it's well over $200,000 in reality. A lot of that debt comes from our second challenge, which is overpaying in taxes. So what's the fourth challenge? Well, the fourth challenge is a big reason for our third challenge. It's simply a lack of financial education. We just don't know what to do with the money that we have. And this is just because since we were children, we've been taught to go work for money, then go spend the money, and then go work for it all over again. This lack of education is why people who win the lottery ends up going broke within the next 3 to 5 years. So who really won the lottery? The ticket holder or the companies that gave their money to? But now that we understand our everyday struggles, how do we fix them? What are the solutions? Well, my econ gives us 3 solutions to our 4 challenges. With the power of business ownership, our strategies teach us to first minimize our taxes or lower our taxes. And in my econ, we teach you to go about doing this by revisiting your W-4 and be sure that you filled it out correctly. Did you know that 80% of Americans have their W-4 filled out wrong? That's almost everybody we know. So we initially get an extra $200 to $800 back into your household that you would have needed for those late gas, light, and cable bills. Our second solution is to eliminate our debt with that same $200 to $800 that you used to not have. And when you're able to get rid of all your debt, you now have extra cash flow to actually invest. You have more money to invest now. Now, that's a word that I'm sure we don't hear every day. I hadn't heard it since I heard of my econ, just to be honest. Which brings us to our third solution, which cannot be stressed enough because our money, making us money, is way more powerful than our labor making us money. Because our money does not get tired and it can't get fired. It works all day long. So you see, we're truly helping people, even saving lives in my econ. So if you're a guest on tonight's call, please get with whoever invited you on. Now, to begin our last segment of the call, I would like to introduce a young lady who has been in the business for quite some time now. She knows exactly what she's talking about. She knows 100% of the facts. I personally love to go to her for my information. But not only is she sharp, she loves to help people, and she loves to have fun. Without further ado, Ms. Candace Woodruff, are you there? Maybe she's still studying, and she's always get that information. Hey, Candace, there you go. I was just talking so well about you.
I was, you know how you try to unmute your line, then you almost hang up, so
well,
I dropped my phone and everything. You did such a good job, Khalil. I'm really, really so happy for you and your growth. Like, wasn't this your first time doing that?
Yes.
Absolutely. That is really good. And it also shows the growth that we have here in the movement. So just thank you, Khalil, for all you're doing. We look forward to hearing more of exactly what you just did and a whole lot more. So thank you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's webinar. Like Khalil said, my name is Candace Woodruff, and I'm hoping that everyone can hear me pretty good out there. We're going to go ahead and really talk about this home strategy session that we always talk about. See, we tell people all the time, well, you need to have a home session. You need to have, start your business at your home. Your money is at your home. Well, we really haven't really taught you how or what you should do first when it comes to starting your home presentation and the steps that you need to take whenever inviting people to your home. So this is going to be a great session tonight. It's not going to be long. We're going to open up for questions at the end. So if you have questions, you can put them in the box at the top of the webinar, or you can ask them at the end of the call. We'll open the line up. So let's actually get into it. What is a home strategy session? Well, a home strategy session is when you invite your close friends and family to your home to tell them about what you're doing. So what should you really do first when you're first getting ready to do that session? Well, let's look at it. The first thing we need to do, and many people don't do this, but we just jump out there, which is great because massive action and fast action is good. But we want to really get you to attend a training. We want you to get on a couple of conference calls so you can really internalize what we're doing, because it's going to be a little hard to tell someone about it or to really share with people what we're doing if you haven't really done anything, which is major. So we want you to definitely attend a training, get on the calls, make sure that you're active and really getting into what we're doing so you'll know the proper way to actually have your home presentation. What do we want you to do next? Well, we want you to get support from your actual sponsor or your upline. Now, many times this may not be possible, but we definitely want you to get with the person that brought you in. See, we all take radical responsibility for the people that we get into My Econ. We want to make sure we help them. This is not a business to where we just put people in and then we drop off the face of the earth. See, we don't want to do that. We want to make sure that we're really helping people and doing what it takes to keep them in business and keep them engaged so that they can change their life and save their life. See, sometimes you have to help people help themselves, and that's what we do in My Econ. So you want to get that support from your direct upline or sponsor. If you don't have that support that you really want or that you need from your sponsor, we have people all around that are willing to help and help out, do trainings, do presentations for you, and help out with that. So just make sure you attend trainings, because if you do the first step, then the next step will be really easy. You'll have that support there for you. Then you want to set a date. When you set a date, the most important thing for you to not do is cancel. You never cancel your date based upon numbers or people who are not showing up or people that's not going to be able to make it. You never cancel your date. You always set that date, and when you set it and tell people about it, then, hey, it's set. It doesn't matter who's there. The people that show up are the people that's supposed to be there. See, weekends are usually better for most people instead of doing your home presentation during the week. Now, this is optional. You can do it whenever you want, but weekends usually have a better turnout. Personally, I like to do them on Sunday evenings around 3 or 4 o'clock after people get out of service and they've eaten and all that good stuff. Invite people over. Say, hey, I'm doing something, really want to invite you out on this Sunday evening. And I'm going to give you a script to use at the end of the call, so you want to get ready for that as well. So I hope that you all have your pen and paper because it's going to be great. Remember, write down any questions while I'm talking because it's going to be really vital for you to understand what we're talking about tonight. So you want to attend your training, get your support, and set a date. Then you want to invite people to come. Of course you do. Well, you want to invite 20 guests. And I say 20, but this is really kind of based upon how big your apartment or your home is. And it's a numbers game. So we have to understand that. When you invite 20, well, probably 5 to 8 people will show up. That's just the numbers game. You have to understand people are busy. They'll tell you they'll do this and they'll do that. But don't get discouraged. Don't cancel just because 3 people call the day before and say they won't make it. If you have one person that shows up, then that's great. If you have no one that shows up, well, you're there, and your person that's going to help you out, the sponsor, they're going to help you, and then you're going to train during that time. See, we're going to use that time valuable even though we're there. We want to do that. Now, remember that this home presentation is for close friends and family only. When I say that, I want that to be clear. You don't want to invite, like strangers to your home. We don't want to do that. So if you just met them, you probably want to hold off and get them to more of a meeting with everyone. But when it comes to your home, it's close friends and family only. We want everyone to stay safe in this process. And what else is there? Well, what are you saying to them? This is really important. I'm going to make sure I leave it on the screen for a little bit because we want to make sure you know what to say to your close friends and family. We want to make sure, I'm going to say this again, that you know what to say to your close friends and family because that's a totally different conversation than it is with people that you don't know. So let's actually get into it. You always want to have small talk first. Don't be overly excited to where it seems like you're just trying to sell them something. We're not that type of company. You have small talk first. See how they're doing. Be cordial. That's who you are. And if they're close friends and family, you've been talking to them anyway. So you kind of know what their situation is. If they're ready to retire, you know they're ready to retire. And you formulate your conversation based upon that. Now, the script says, I found a way to get about $5,000 to $6,000 back for my taxes. I've already brought back, let's say, $200 back into my home per month, and I'm learning how to invest my money. I am surrounded by people who want to help me and support me through this process, and I can promise you 2 things. Now, this is really powerful. You'll learn something, and after this time, I'll never bring it up again unless you do, because our relationship is more important than any business deal. So this says a whole lot, and I'm going to break it down to why we really have this script just like this. The infamous Mr. Charles Thomas came up with this script and helped us all out with it, and I just put it on the paper. So this is what it is. Now, when it says I found a way to get $5,000 to $6,000 back on my taxes, we have to understand this is our first strategy. These are our strategies. Lowering our taxes is our first strategy. So it says I've already brought back $200. I put a blank there because your story is going to be different from everyone else's, back into my home per month. Well, what does this really say? That you want to go ahead and have a little bit of success, just a little bit, before you actually have that meeting. And if you don't, that's fine. It's okay because everyone doesn't have a job. But if you do, it's a good segue. If not, it'll be a little bit different. Let me give you an example. If, let's say, you're a business owner and you got into the business, you can even use the beginnings part to say, well, I've already started using the software for my other business, and this is just complementing what I was already doing. See, that's a way for you to go ahead and segue and go into a different conversation, but this one that I use here is based upon a person having a job. So the script is very powerful. So what else after that? I'm learning how to invest my money. So it doesn't matter who you are, we want to make sure that our money is working for us, right? Absolutely. And then it says, I'm surrounded by people who want to help and support me. See, we talked about at training, and I'm not sure if you all were at training the other day, but we talked about at training that we are around so many negative people every day that, well, to be around some people that are positive, that want to see you do better and that are not so negative all the time is really, it makes you feel good. And to have that support and to have that nice richness around you, it's a great feeling. So other people to know you have support, and then when they come in, they'll have that same group of people and that environment. That's very important. See, we always try to make sure we create that environment for everyone to have that good feeling, because that's what's important, and it keeps you going. It keeps you going. So at the end, we said we're going to promise them two things whenever they look at this information. They're going to learn something, which is a good promise, because many times what we're teaching, nobody knows a whole lot about. So even if they catch one nugget, we made that promise. And then the second thing is really important. After this time, I will never bring it up again unless you do, because our relationship is more important than any business deal. So this script is very non-intrusive. It's not like, oh, let me come and show you what I'm trying to do or what I'm trying to make this money. It's not like that. And I'm leaving this on the screen for a while so you can make sure you write it down. This script is about being non-intrusive and inviting your friends and family to check out what you're doing. Now, where are you inviting them to? We talked about a home presentation, but this same script can be used if you're inviting them to a webinar. Let's say they're out of town. You can still give them this same script. I want to share with you what I'm doing and really changing my life. So I'm going to keep going. Now, after you actually get ready and you're having your home presentation, now, if you didn't get that portion, if you just got on or something like that, make sure you write it in the chat, and I'll go back later when we're asking questions. But during the actual presentation at your home, you want to protect your home now. So you don't want to have any dark drinks. You want to always make sure you have bottled waters or Sprite, something clear liquids in case they waste it on your couch or on your floor. It's very important. What else? Well, you want to have light snacks. Usually we don't encourage people to make very big, large dishes and pastas and things like that. Well, why is that? We do that because we want our systems to be duplicatable. So if you have bottles of water and light snacks like chips and salsa or carrots or fruit, things like that, well, that makes it simple because I don't have to spend a lot of money to have a home presentation. See, that's major. We want to make sure we stay within that range of things and make things simple for people to where they feel like, oh, well, that was easy. I can do that too. Very important. All right. Make sure you remember this is something very important. When people are walking into your house, they are expecting an experience. You want them to remember how they felt when they walked in your home, how they felt during the presentation. See, people they'll forget what you say. They may forget what you do, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. This is a very important concept. They'll never forget how you made them feel. So have a little music playing whenever you come in. Know your audience. You always want it to be upbeat and usually without a whole lot of words. Sometimes you can do like jazz music or upbeat entertainment music. If you want to make sure that it's upbeat though, you don't want to have real sad music and things like that going on, because if you do, well, it could bring back or trigger memories and things like that. We want them to have an upbeat spirit and really be excited about what we're getting ready to show them. Well, what else do we have? You want to not talk about, and this is so important, you never want to talk about people that are not there. The most important people in the room are the people that are in the room. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to say it again. The most important people in the room are the people that are in the room. So you make them feel like they're not important when you're talking about, oh, well, Susie was supposed to show up, but she not going to make it, so I only got one coming. That makes them feel bad because now you're talking about people that aren't here. But they're there, so you make them feel important. You talk to them. You make sure that they're comfortable. They get the water and things like that. You make them feel comfortable in your home because that is so important. Never talk about no-shows. Now, this happens as well at the weekly meetings that we have or anytime we have a meeting. Never talk about no-shows in front of your guests. Really, don't talk about no-shows anyway because it doesn't matter. The people that are there are the ones that are supposed to be there. What else do we have? You want to often and always, I'm going to say always, start on time. And when we say start on time, we sometimes we get in the habit of saying, oh, well, such and such is on the way, and we want to wait on them, we want to wait on this. Well, we said we were starting at 4:30. We probably want to go ahead and get started at 4:30. We could give them maybe a 5 or 10 minute grace period, which is fine, but you never want to wait too long because the person that probably should have been showing up, they usually don't show up, or they're 30 minutes late, and now you've made everyone else wait on that one person. So you always want to start timely and be timely when we do things. We want to always respect people's time because they can never get that back. So let's keep going. All right, so this is what you have to do during the time frame. Now, some people are just really afraid of speaking in front of others and all of that stuff. Well, now you got to get out of your shell just a little bit. If you practice beforehand, you'll be fine. So let's talk about it. When you're introducing the speaker, right before you get to introducing them, you want to do this very important thing. You want to do your promo. So how do you do your promo? Before my econ, since joining my econ, and your future plans when you join. So let me give you a script. Just a second. You want that to be 30 to 60 seconds because people kind of stop listening if you keep talking on and on about yourself. Many times they want to hear about them and what they can get out of the deal. Then you want to make sure that you use specific numbers. So whenever you use those specific numbers, you want to say, well, I've been in only a couple of months now, but I've brought back about $600 or about $200 back into my home already, and now I actually plan to blah, blah, blah. So you want to always use those numbers, and I wanted to just kind of specify on the numbers right there. You want to use those numbers so that you're able to be specific and give people what they need, because that's powerful. If you got back $200, it's like, wow, I could use $200 or I can use $300. That's major for people. After you do your promo, then you want to introduce the speaker. Now, when you're introducing the speaker, you want to touch these 4 areas: sharks, whales, dolphins, and urchins. So let's look at that. Now, if they're a shark, they love money. Whales love to have fun. Dolphins like to help people. And urchins, well, they like the details. So how do you really do this? Well, let me give it to you. There's a script right here. Mr. Murphy is a great person who has made or stands to make, and I put that in parentheses because you want to make sure you know who your upline is. If he's like Mr. Darrell and has made tons of money in the business, well, you want to say, well, Mr. Darrell has made a ton of money in the business. Or if he's new, like myself, you can say, well, I can say I'm new. I'll be new today. You can say, well, Candace stands to make a ton of money in this business. So we don't want to give off the wrong impression that we tell stories or anything like that or give false information up front. We're honest people, so let's make sure that what we're saying is honest. So Mr. Murphy is a great person who has made a ton of money in this business or with this opportunity. He knows all the details because he was trained by the best of the best. Mr. Murphy loves to joke around and have a lot of fun, but more importantly, he loves to help people, and that's what it's all about. So please help me welcome Mr. Murphy, Mr. Eddie Murphy. This is really important. Why is this important? Because you're edifying the person and you're touching each one of those characteristics of people inside of your script that you're using. Now, if you know how to edify, you don't have to use the script. This just gives you a good starter on how to actually get started. Now, use your own words, that's fine, but you want to edify and make sure you use those 4 types of people when you're edifying people at the front of the room. So let me give you an example on what it sounds like. Now, let's say we're at my home and we're getting ready to get started. Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all to tonight's strategy session. I'm really just excited that all of you came, my close friends and family. I'm really excited to see everyone here. But I just really want to share some information with you and have someone share it with you tonight because I'm really excited about my future right now. See, before I joined my econ, I was overpaying taxes and didn't even know it. Since I joined my econ, I got about $350 back into my home already, and it's only been 2 months. And in the future, I plan on using that money to pay off debt and to actually invest so that I can prepare for my future. That's major. Now, what I want to do for you really quickly is really bring up someone who's going to be able to really share some value with you. Now, I just got in not long ago, and I'm having a tremendous amount of success already, but this guy, oh, man, he's a great person who has made a ton of money in this business. He knows all the details because he was trained by the best of the best and loves to joke around, have a good time. He might tell you a joke when he comes up here, but more importantly, he loves to help people, and that's what it's all about. So please help me welcome Mr. Eddie Murphy to the front of the room. Everybody claps. You give him a hug or shake his hand, however is best for you. and then you sit down and he takes the stage. Now, what I just said was really important. You never leave the actual stage or the front of your living room. You never leave it blank. You always wait for the presenter to come. You give them a hug or handshake, and then you keep going, and they take over the stage. That's very important. So you always remember that. These are things that are happening inside of your home, and it's really simple. Now, let me tell you what really happens during that time. The people see the environment, they see the great energy you have, and then they also see that you have that support system there to help you even though you're just getting started. See, that's major. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to open up the line for questions. Ryan, are you on the line? What do we need to press for questions? If anyone has any questions for me. I know I went through it kind of quickly, but I just want everyone to understand that home strategy sessions really help us grow our business big time, and they're a great way to get started with everything that you need to get started and to have success. So right now, Ryan, are you there?
Yes, it'll be *6.
*6. All right. If you all would, press *6 to unmute your lines if you have any questions. Or if you can't unmute your line, you can put the questions in the chat.
Hello, Candace. How are you? This is Yolanda.
I'm doing great, Yolanda. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Very, very good information. I had some technical difficulties going on. Can you please pull up that first slide?
Okay.
I'm trying
the
to
first
screenshot
one
it.
or the second one? All right. I'll do the first one, and then I'll do the second one. I think this might be the one you're talking about.
My thing
Is this the one that you're referring to?
Yes. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank
no problem.
And thank you guys for your time and all your hard work you put into these calls. It is greatly appreciated, and it is showing in each and every one of us. I'm speaking for everybody right now. Thank you.
No problem. Yolanda, you're out of Dallas, right?
Yes, in Arlington, Texas.
Awesome. We're just really glad to have you and sharing with you with everyone who's on the call, so we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Do we have any other questions? I got that pulled up for you. Any other questions? All right.
Okay.
I see something going on in the chat. Yes.
So whenever you set up a session, should I put out like extra chairs and get everything set up like that and stuff like that?
Awesome. That's a great question. Who is this, Ryan?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. That's a great question. Ryan, I would recommend you leaving your home exactly like it is. And when I say that, you want to leave your home natural, because that's the point of having a home presentation. Now, I'd have some chairs in the back just in case someone shows up extra or you have an overflow of people, but you never want to have too many chairs and not enough people. So you always want to supply the demand. So more people come, then I add chairs. But if not, you want to make sure the house looks natural and homey for the people. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does.
Absolutely. I have another question in the chat. It says, how soon do you confirm if they are coming? All right, that's a great question. I think Kevin asked that question. So with my guests, what I do, I always remind them on Saturday. Now, let me tell you how I remind them, because it's very definitely not intrusive, but I'd like to see if they're coming. So I say, let's say his name's Kevin. Hey, Kevin, just wanted to confirm that we're still on for tomorrow. Now, tomorrow, let's say it's Sunday, so that's on Saturday when I did that. I confirmed with them on the day before to say, hey, just wanted to make sure we were still on for tomorrow. That gives them a day ahead of time, 24 hours, to make sure that just in case they messed up or they rescheduled something or they forgot, they remember. Then, let's say, for example, the strategy session at your home starts at 4 o'clock on Sunday. Well, at what time is it? 12 to. All right, usually I do 12 o'clock, but it's Sunday, so they're at church probably. So you want to be courteous. So I always send a message about 2 hours before the presentation. I say, hey, I'm sorry. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, awesome. I say, hey, we're getting started promptly at 4 o'clock today. I can't wait to see you. That's it. Now, I just assumed that they're still coming because they already confirmed on Saturday. So if we start at 4, I'm going to send that message around 2 o'clock. So therefore, if they're doing something right then, let's say they're having dinner with the family, they'll just trigger them to say, oh, yeah, I do have that meeting at 4 o'clock with Candace. Now, one more time, I'm going to confirm with them, but I'm really not confirming. I'm being very intrusive, and I'm going to say around 3:30, because we start at 4. Around 3:30, I'm going to say, feel free to park in the driveway. Well, why did I say that? Well, honestly, some people don't like to park in other people's driveway. They may feel like they're blocking people in or something like that. So what did I just do? I just triggered them again to say, oh, yeah, I need to head over to Candace's house. Now, did I say, hey, are you coming? Are you coming? Did you make it? No, I didn't do that. I just said, feel free to park in the driveway, and it was an indirect trigger to say, hey, yeah, remember, you're supposed to be here in 30 minutes. I hope that answered your question, Kevin. Did anyone else have an open question? And I think I have one other thing here in the chat.
Yes, Candace, I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Keisha. I'm actually driving, so I was not able to see all of the information that you had on the screen, although you did an awesome job saying everything. But I want to make sure that I do remember all of the points that you did. Will this information be available in some other format?
Okay, can you ask that question one more time? It started like breaking up or something.
I'm sorry, can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, you said, is this information what?
Available in any other format. Will we be able to access it after the webinar tonight?
Well, I guess. I'm trying to think. If you can think of a way that I can do it, Keisha, I promise that I can do it, because I don't work by myself. I work as a team, and teamwork makes the dream work. So if the team can think of a way that we can add it or have it available, I'd love to give it to you.
Well, I will help you out with that. No problem.
All right, awesome. And we'll post it on any social sites and things like that, because it's important for everybody to get this information. Thank you, Keisha.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Awesome. I have a question here in the chat. It says, for the testimony, explain cash flow. Is it the money you were paying on bills that's been released for other bills, or the amount of debt paid off? Can it be added to the new? Oh, okay, that's another thing. All right, great. So that question, just to answer that question, here we go. Cash flow. Cash flow is any extra money that's added to your life. Now, let me talk about that just a second. The money that you get on your adjustment of your W-4, that added money to your income each month, that's cash flow. Whenever you pay money, use that extra money to pay off debt, and that allows more money to stay into your home, that's considered cash flow. I hope that makes sense. The money that you make whenever you are making money in my econ, you created more cash flow because that was money that you never seen before. That was money that you never seen before coming into your home. So that's more cash flow. So the more money, the more bills you pay off, that's the more cash flow you have into your home. I hope that makes sense. All right. Hope that answered your question, viewer 17. And then another question we have here, can it be added to the newsletter? I'm not sure. Is that the newsletter with the Cash Flow Happy site, Miss Yolanda? You'll have to confirm that for me. And if it is, I'm sure that it can. It's actually a training session inside of the newsletter on the Cash Flow Happy site that I can see if I can send it to those guys. She said yes. I can send it to them and see if they would add that. I think that would be perfect. That's a great idea. All right, another question. It says, Candace, what if someone came in late? Would you start the presentation over? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I can't start the presentation over. The slide that it's currently looking at is actually a very important slide, but I cannot start it over. We will definitely have these trainings again, and I promise to do the training again really soon, but I can't promise that I'll do that. If you're inside of the Cashflow Happy site, I'm sure that we can have this presentation added inside of the training section of that site. That will be a great thing to do, so I'll make sure to see if we can get that added there as well. I apologize, but I cannot start the presentation over. Oh, are they talking about the home BPM?
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay. I apologize. I missed that whole question. All right. So if they missed the home BPM, I'm going to go personal here. I'm not sure how everyone would answer this question. But if they missed your presentation and it started at 4 and they showed up at 5, well, it's going to be your personal choice to do a one-on-one with them, or, you know, have your upline or your support to be there. Because honestly, if that's however you run your business is how you run it. That's going to be your personal. That's going to be your personal way of doing it. Me personally, I would not do another home BPM at that time. I would encourage them, hey, you know, it's okay that you missed it. You be real nice about it. It's okay you missed it, and I understand, you know, things happen. What day next week can I set up with you so that, you know, we can sit down and talk about it maybe one-on-one, or I can invite you out. It's no biggie. I just love for you to see the information because it's really powerful. So what does that do? That makes it to where you have posture in your business. What is posture? Well, that allows you to actually not be, I'll say, thirsty, or not feel like you just need them to get into your business. You want to have posture to say, hey, it's not a big deal. I'm okay with this because I'm having success. And you have that posture in your business, and you want to create that and have that to where you're not just thirsty for people and make it look like you're just trying to make money. And I hope that that answers your question. Viewer 15. Hope that was helpful. And then I got a text message with a question in it. Let's see. Why is it so hard for people to get out of their comfort zone? Wow. Ooh, y'all are getting me tonight. Do I have any help online? No, I'm just kidding. Honestly, people are in their comfort zone because they've always been there. Have you ever heard that people do things because that's just all they know? That's all they've ever been able to do. This is a great question, Jason. People, many times, like, and I'll even give you this because I read this the other day, 99% of the people never reach their full potential because they don't get out of their comfort zone. It's so comfortable there. I've been doing it this way for so long, and they've never seen anything different. So let's think of my econ like this. When we're asleep at night, let's say you're sleeping and your eyes are closed and it's dark in your room, and someone comes in and they turn the light switch on. Normally what happens is it wakes you up in an instant, and you're covering your eyes, and you have to really get used to it. Well, that's how the information is in my econ, because we were comfortable laying in bed, sleeping that night. But then someone came in and cut that light on, and it was just like, wow. All of these things that I've been told for all 30 or 40 years of my life, well, maybe things are not really what I thought they were. It's something to think about. So that also tells us we have to be patient with people. We don't beg them. We have to be patient with people when we're actually directing them into my econ and giving them the way for them to change their lives, because they've always done it this way, and they've always been in this zone. So we have to give them a little bit of time. I know Marcus Montgomery, I wish he could unmute his line very quickly and tell us really what happened to him when it came to being in his comfort zone. Marcus, can you press *6? Is that right, Ryan?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, that's right.
Ryan, Mr. Montgomery, can you tell us when you were in, let's say, before you got in my econ, can you tell us about your comfort zone and what really kept you away?
Yes. The thing about the comfort zone is, you talk about it at the end of the presentation. Sometimes it said, don't let a social decision keep you from moving forward. And, a lot of times you're just thinking about what other people may think. You're thinking about, will I be able to get this right, or can I share this information in the right way, or, I do this particular job, or people see me in this way. And so, that was sort of like my mindset of thinking too much about what other people were thinking when, they weren't paying my bills. And so, then when you start looking at it and saying, well, I have an opportunity to help people, And I started getting this knowledge and seeing that it was actually helping people. And I started feeling like I had a responsibility to let people know. And I started being proud about it and just saying, hey, this is something that I can do to really give back and help people who need it. So I had to kind of reverse that thinking.
Absolutely. And Marcus, another quick question. Before my econ, you were doing okay, right? You and your wife, y'all made pretty good income, right?
Oh yeah, we were doing okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so would you say that even with that situation, being okay with your finances, would you say that kind of had you in your comfort zone as well when it came to doing my econ?
Yeah, I think that does sometimes, because you can be doing okay, but I think a lot of times people are doing okay, but they really may not have a plan for financial freedom. Because okay is one thing, but financial freedom is being totally debt free, and then being able to have a plan in place that lets you know that you can be a liquid millionaire in 9 or 10 years if you follow the plan. I mean, that's a powerful situation, because Mr. Thomas always told me this. He was like, a lot of people are living lives, and it's sort of like quiet desperation, because it may look like everything is real all good, but when you start pulling the covers back, is some things that, a lot of people in America, that 80% of people who change their W-4 and get that money, and we call cash flow, that 80% is a lot of people out there that really need, a plan, that financial literacy. So yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. That was great, Marcus. I always like to really come back to people when they say, how do you get people out of their comfort zone? Well, it's kind of tough to do, because that's their own mindset. And I always like to drip on people and get them off of me. And when I say get them off of me, see, they always see me and they hear me, but if I get them a video by Robert Kiyosaki, or I get them some additional information, and I send them maybe some documentation that's pretty simple that they can understand in different books, and I give them that information to say, hey, this is not just me. This is everyone, and many people are doing it and helping themselves. So that's really powerful. I received another question. It was how can you keep your composure after the presentation? This is a great question. How can you keep your composure after a presentation, and what if someone doesn't sign up immediately or is skeptical about what you're doing? All right, so the first thing is you always want to allow your other person or your support or your upline, whoever's there, you always want to allow them to close your guest. If they're your close friends and family, you never want to really ask them for the money. And I say that because it helps you to keep your relationship with them, so that you don't seem pushy, or that you're trying to really get them to do something or ask for the money. So when I say let the upline do it, well, if I was the person there helping you with the presentation, I would go to your guest and I'd ask them, everything was great, wasn't it? What did you like most about what you've seen so far? So I would close them for you, and I wouldn't have any emotional ties to your friends and family. So what does that mean? I don't mind asking for the money. Give me the money. Give me the money. So that's one part of it. Make sure you let someone else close your people. And this is not just at the home BPM. This is at the BPMs that we do out in public. These are at even with the three-way calls that you do. So you want to get the person off of you, especially when they're your close friends and family or people that you know. Now, another thing with that, another thing with that is that if they're skeptical about what you're doing, and if they didn't sign up right away, all right, I'll answer those two questions differently. If they're skeptical, see, some people are naturally skeptical, and that's okay. Some people have genuine questions, and some people have skeptical questions. Skeptical questions are more or less like, how do I know if, or, what if this happens, or what if that happens? Well, those kinds of questions are people who are skeptical about what we're doing, and it's okay for them to be skeptical. But we have to remember, and don't tell them this, that you can't build wealth and be skeptical. You can't be broke and skeptical and then build wealth at the same time. It does not work. It doesn't work. So we have to understand that people are used to being scammed. There's a lot of things going on. So we want to be genuine and be nice to those people and say, hey, I understand that you have questions. I feel the same way you felt, but I found a way to really help myself. Whatever it is that they're skeptical about. Now, some people, you won't ever be able to get over their skepticism, and that's okay. We just keep going. It's a numbers game. Now, if they don't sign up immediately, that's another situation. You can go about this a couple of different ways, and this is what I do personally. I always set up another meeting. I book a meeting from a meeting. It's called BAM Fam. I know Brian always teaches on this. BAM Fam is book a meeting from a meeting. How does that work? Well, if they don't have the money and they express that, I'm going to make sure that I say, well, since you don't have the money, if they have a job, I'll say, are you free next week? I'd love to sit down with you and maybe look at some different situations and some alternatives that we can have to help you out to get started as quickly as possible. Well, what did I just do? I just booked a meeting from this meeting. I'm keeping them engaged, and I'm also seeing if they're serious. Because if they're serious about what we're talking about, I'll adjust their W-4 right then, because that means they're serious about what we're doing in my econ, and I can help them out by getting that extra money on their check before, just so they can get in the business. And then I'll make sure that I explain to them, and I'm going to say this, and I know we're almost done, but I'm going to make sure that they understand, hey, if you adjust this W-4, you are required to get into my econ, because the only way you can adjust this W-4 and get the actual benefits of my econ is by being in my econ. You have to join. If you don't, there is a possibility that you will have to pay in, because you will not have the money or the deductions to supplement the money that you're getting back. See, that's a very important point, because we're warning them ahead of time that if you don't get in my econ with this adjustment, it's going to be your fault, not mine. And then I'm going to hold them accountable, because about 2 weeks later, I'm going to contact them because it's time to get in. So you schedule yourself another appointment with them. Now, in the meantime, you want to get them on conference calls. You want to keep them engaged. You want to have a whole list of different videos and things like that on YouTube that talk about finances and just drip on them. Get them engaged to get them already bought into my econ before they even get in. And then invite them to the trainings on Tuesdays. Allow them to meet the people. And when you get that buy-in, you won't have to worry, because they're going to get in anyway. So I hope that answered your question from the message that I just received on my phone. I have one other question. I think this is going to be the last one that I got for tonight. It says, can you touch on the great point you made earlier about not canceling your home meetings once you've set the date and told people about it? I'm actually on that screen right here. On the third bullet, it says set the date. You never want to cancel a meeting based upon numbers that happen. Now, if something emergency happens, that makes sense, but you never want to cancel a meeting after you set the date and you have people coming just because 2 or 3 people said they can't make it. The people that are there and the people that showed up were the people that's supposed to be there. So if you have one person show up at your meeting, that's perfectly fine, because that's the one person that needed to see what you were sharing today. Now, if you have 0 people that show up, well, you're still there, and you are important. So you just use that time that you had allotted to train. Train. And your upline is going to give you some training and talk to you about another meeting. We're going to set another date, because we're not going to quit, and it's going to make you feel good to keep going and doing that. And I'm going to say another thing about canceling your meeting. And I didn't say this earlier, so this will be bonus training for people who are still here. When you keep your meeting set, you keep that meeting date, if you cancel it, it hurts your self-esteem, because it's like, oh, such and such doesn't want to show up, this person's not coming, that person's not coming, and that doesn't make you feel good about what you're doing. But if you keep going, it even makes you feel good to say, hey, it doesn't matter who shows up, I believe in this, and it increases your self-esteem about what you're doing about your business. See, that's all psychological. So never cancel your meeting based upon numbers. Only if it's an emergency or something, but never cancel your meeting based upon numbers. All right, that's all I have for tonight. I think that's all the questions I can take for. So I'm really glad that you all are on the call. Thank you for being here. I'm going to turn it back over to Khalil. Khalil, are you there? Or Ryan, whoever's supposed to take over the call? Hello?
Yes, Candace.
Can you hear me, Candace? This is Khalil.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead and close the call out, Khalil. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Candace. Wow, there was a lot of information. I'm glad you were here to give it to us tonight. I'm glad I was on. I'd like to thank everyone else who came on the call tonight for being here to invest in yourselves. And I'll see you all on the other side of success. Good night.